Hello, I'm Aksa Taylor, Chief Security Evangelist at Exaforce. Prior to this, I was an analyst covering cloud security and SecOps, and before that, product management leader building cloud security platforms and solutions. I'm very thrilled to join Exaforce and be the voice of the industry educating the market on AI SOC. And with that, we made a really big announcement recently about our Series B, which makes us the most well-funded AI SOC company in this category among the emerging entrants. This is a big vote of confidence, but capital is just numbers. What really builds trust is the architects behind the capital and the people building the platform, which is why I'm here today with Marco Rodrigues, our co-founder and customer engineering and operations leader. I'm happy to introduce him and also learn more about his background and how that helps shape Exaforce. Marco, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Aksa.
Of course. Let's start with your background. Why don't you tell us in your words about your background and experience?
Sure. In terms of my career, I started as an engineer, pre-sales, working for some of the largest enterprises and service providers in the world globally. From there, I joined my first startup, which was already in the Series A category in terms of growth. From there, I got to learn what it took to run a very small company. The journey from there actually progressed to being part of the founding team of a company called Volterra, which was later acquired by F5. My role transitioned from being an engineering lead practitioner supporting pre-sales organizations to running all of the product organization and operations at F5 Distributed Cloud.
Nice.
And then, from there, then I was able to join Exaforce as a founder and taking all my learnings from the past, both as a practitioner, owner, and product leader.
Nice. That is quite a pivot, coming from infrastructure, network, to now in SOC and security operations. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? How does that influence your place here at Exaforce? And why SOC? Why the pivot?
You can kind of break it up into two parts. One, for me, just in general, change is constant. And that's the best way to learn. If I'm not feeling the pain, then it usually means you're too comfortable, which actually scares me more than anything else. But in terms of what it means from a SOC point of view, look, when I was at F5, working and supporting some of the largest networks in the world, I was able to understand and appreciate not only what it took. It's one thing to sell and build out these infrastructure, but it's another on the day two side. How do you keep the lights running in these environments, especially at scale? These are like networks and infrastructure that are supporting military, FAA. These are things that, it's a big deal. And then you layer on top of that the security element to it as well. So that's when at first hand, I literally appreciated, and even in many cases was on call supporting our customers doing that. So then when I moved to F5, I became the owner of that organization from a security standpoint. So not only running and owning the product and the P&L for F5 Distributed Cloud, I also got to own and experience firsthand what it took to run a security organization supporting the services that we're giving to customers. I saw that pain and felt that pain firsthand.
So this is very personal to you.
Yes.
And you've talked about the industry pivot. Let's also focus a little bit on your own journey. You came from engineering, a practitioner, to now being in the GTM customer engineering role, which is almost sales operations. How did that influence your position today at Exaforce in this role, coming from an engineering and practitioner perspective?
Helped quite a bit, actually. So one, I know what it takes not only to deliver the outcomes that customers are expecting for, and when I say customers, I mean the actual practitioners. It's
right.
You want the outcomes. What's the outcome? I need the tool or the service or the product to be there when I need it most. And when you need it most, it's usually when you have an issue like security. So that experience for me personally, growing from an engineering role then to what does it take to execute and deliver on that promise? So my experience as a product leader, I was able to not only walk that fine line between setting the right expectations with customers and understanding what it took on the back end to build and execute and, more importantly, operate those environments on behalf of our customers. I can sniff out reality and kind of empty promises early on, which actually is kind of the basis and formation of, or framework rather, of how I sell to my customers, right? Which is pretty much grounded in what I like to call reality, which should be focused on the outcomes of the customers.
For sure. Now, AI SOC itself is a very crowded category, right? There are so many startups, there are existing traditional platforms that are now coming in this AI SOC category. What helped Exaforce stand out from a GTM perspective and from your own experience as well? How did you start the foundation? How did you set the foundation right that helped Exaforce be the most well-funded company today?
How we differentiate in the AI SOC market really comes down to there's a product element to it, which I'm sure Arf already spoke to at detail. But then there's the transparency element to it as customers, right? Some of our earlier customers knew this was a journey. They were some of them came from running 80 plus large security teams who just joined a startup. Said it was very clear, saying, "Hey, I know what it took to run that. I know that's not the end game now. So tell me what you got." And very early on, it was a discussion around, "Hey, look, we're going to work on this together. Let's focus on your outcomes." And it was that transparency up front, I think, is what ultimately led to this individual, this customer now, trusting us in that journey. I felt that combined with what we've built is so unique. As you work with these customers or prospects leading to customers, it's all about a foundation based on transparency.
And I think especially in AI, the transparency goes a long way, a lot longer than
transparency in terms of their outcomes, but more importantly, how are you getting to those outcomes? Not to get into product details, but that's ultimately, they need to understand what's going on in that environment because they're ultimately held accountable for it.
And GTM plays a big role in building that trust.
Correct.
In your experience, how has the consumer mindset shifted from over the years that you've experienced?
So from a literal standpoint, I used to sit in that chair, and I experienced it. Now, if you actually just look at what the market and how it's evolving, the reality is your adversaries are well motivated, well funded, and they're using AI in very unique ways to up-level themselves. So as a result, I've seen two tracks in how we talk to our customers. Some of them get it, and it scares the hell out of them. So they're like, "Hey, they're moving fast. I need to move fast. Tell me what you got." And they know it takes a holistic approach. They're like, "I don't want to go with a traditional security stack or traditional approach because I know everything from the ground up really has to be thought of holistically from an AI point of view. How do I get to the end state?" And those customers not only feel the pressing need and the challenges with those adversaries, they've been in other security operations role, which allows them to appreciate what it takes to get to that outcome. Then you got the other types of the other track where in a lot of ways they understand that this is the issue in the market, but unfortunately they can't move that fast just because they have a traditional regulations or they have a security operations team already that's already used to a certain set of tools and processes. They already have traditional tool stacks, and change is very hard. Even so in a lot of ways they come to us saying, "Please help me," right? And what can I do? And there's various ways how we approach both customers, but both have been working with us very closely, and we partner closely with them to achieve those outcomes.
Of course, and we've seen the customer testimonials that were launched, and that is a huge advocacy from our active users about the platform itself, and of course the support that they received from the GTM team in their journey, which is an additional factor. You can have the best technical solution, but if the people are not supportive in the long run, that hurts your trust as well, right? And this funding round especially is a massive vote of confidence, not only in the product and platform and where that will be spent, but also in the GTM strategy. How do you see this investment being used in that front?
How I envision GTM, it's more about the trust and confidence in not just the product that we built, but the team that's behind it. To me, everything else is just noise. And the lens people, or in this case, our customers and prospects, how do we differentiate? It's just ultimately how we're delivering the outcomes for these customers. And as we deliver more successful outcomes, which ultimately translates into more customer testimonials and trust and confidence in the platform, all that then allows me from a go-to-market standpoint to just build, live off that brand, grow that brand of just a trusted and reputable vendor who allows us to kind of solve these issues for customers.
Talking about customer testimonials, what is the aha moment for the customer when they're going through a POC or they're evaluating multiple platforms and products and they look at Exaforce and go, "This is why I want to go with Exaforce"?
To put it very bluntly, I think it's the moment they see it all come together, right? And then there's that aspect of it. And then more importantly, the moment they start to invest more and more of their time in using the platform, it just escalates from there in a good way. I've seen it from very early on where we've introduced customers and, in our proof of values, they're like, oh, wow, you guys are doing this and then some. And then those customers, once they transition to actual customers, putting them in production, I've seen it grow from the security practitioner saying, you saved me so much time just on triaging an alert, right? And then, to the security practitioner saying, you make my threat hunting so much easier, right? You literally save me hours of time. And then it even escalates further, which is so fun to see, where some of their executives are going into the tool and using it, saying, hey, you're allowing me to create my board slides and my security program metrics within minutes in a way that's actually even automated. So you're saving me weeks of time as well. GRC teams use it for legal kind of investigations.
Yeah.
It's just, you start to see it spread from there, and then it's so exciting to see, because now you're fundamentally transforming how these companies operate at a security level, which then you free up time for the organization to focus on a lot of other things as well. Once you land with that customer, to get to that wow moment, you've had a product that's been so well thought out and well built that now you've armed the tip of the spear with the right mindset, the right culture, but more importantly, the right product. That's how I see it evolving. But the reality is it's going to be a bit of a journey as well. There's work involved. Like anything worth doing, it requires effort and time and trust.
Great. Thank you very much, Marco. One personal question as we wrap up our interview. What is the one promise that you, Marco Rodrigues, are giving to our prospects, customers, anybody who's watching this and is wondering if they should evaluate Exaforce? What is the one promise that you're willing to give them with this funding announcement?
Okay, one promise that at least me, as a sales lead here at Exaforce and a founder, is really making sure we take your security as important as we do our own. What I mean by that is, from a go-to-market standpoint, outcomes are the most important thing, right? And in an ideal world, we shouldn't be talking to each other from a security standpoint, but that's not the reality. So the next best thing is finding a partner you trust in, and more importantly, someone who believes in your business's mission and ours. And I think that's one thing that, if you're going to take from this whole interview, is that we'll be there for you in your time of need. And you'll notice that the product and the platform will take you and your company to the next level.
Thank you very much, Marco.
Okay.
Super excited to be on this mission myself with Exaforce, and stay tuned. We have lots of big announcements coming.